What if the leadership your organization needs right now is not more pressure, not more performance, but more grounding, more authenticity, more heart, a complete revival? The Leadership Revival, powered by Soar Discern IQ with AI intelligence, is rooted in my best-selling book, Call and Response. And in a truth we've known for generations, leadership starts within. It moves through people, and it shows up in impact. Through this framework, we develop leaders across 3 dimensions: self-work, resilience, clarity, the ability to stay grounded and lead yourself first; relationship work, community, trust, the capacity to build real alignment and move people together; world work, creativity and innovation, influence, leadership that actually changes outcomes. At the heart of this revival is heart-centered leadership. Leaders who pair professional rigor with moral courage and compassion. Leaders who are emotionally literate, purpose-driven, and skilled at building belonging. This is leadership that holds both the metrics and the human story. Conviction plus care. Cultural intelligence plus courage. But here's where it gets powerful. Soar Discern IQ with AI intelligence doesn't just describe leadership, it reveals how you actually operate, how you show up under pressure, how you communicate when it counts, where friction is happening across your team, and why. It turns insight into precision. It makes the invisible visible, and it gives leaders the clarity to act, not guess. So when you combine the Leadership Revival framework with Soar Discern IQ, you don't just inspire leaders, you equip them with evidence, with language, with a way to lead that actually holds up in the real world, and with a heart that keeps people and purpose at the center of success. And this isn't just theory. This is transformation you can see, measure, and sustain. This is Leadership Revival. And once it begins, everything changes for the good. Welcome to Her Next Power Move, the podcast that helps high-performing leaders navigate their career ascension with clarity and confidence. Every other week, I come to you personally, just you and me, and discuss the issues and trends in leadership that may be keeping you stuck and what you can do to make that power move forward. I'm your executive producer and host, Elle Michelle Smith, and for those who don't know, I'm a best-selling leadership author and expert, Fortune 100 C-suite advisor, and ICF certified executive and personal coach that inspires leadership at the apex of applied neuroscience and positive psychology and culture. This podcast originates from my Substack by the same name, Her Next Power Move. This is your opportunity to listen, but most importantly, think and strategize about how you will move your leadership aspirations and your life forward, especially in the current business and cultural context. Get your journals and pens ready. Every episode, we start with a topic and we end with a powerful question. Take your time and answer that question honestly and with as much detail and specificity as possible, because our goal each episode is a breakthrough. It's a powerful 10 minutes of your time well spent. On her objection to using artificial intelligence in her workplace. She won. The accommodation was granted. This is not a legal theory anymore. This is not something experts are speculating about. This is happening now. When you step back and look at what that means, you are looking at an inflection point. For months, the conversation around AI at work has been about speed, about adoption, about getting your teams to move faster and learn the tools and keep up with the disruption. And then someone says no, not because she doesn't understand the technology, not because she is afraid of change. She says no because she has a genuine ethical and spiritual conviction about what this technology represents, and that conviction matters enough that the law had to acknowledge it. Now, here is what that moment reveals about leadership. Most leaders have been moving full speed ahead with AI implementation, assuming that the resistance or the questions would come in a predictable form. They thought people would say they were worried about their jobs, or they did not understand the workflow, or they needed more training. Those are the questions leaders know how to answer, but they did not anticipate people saying, I cannot do this because my conscience will not let me. That is a different kind of question, and it requires a different kind of leadership. The neuroscience here is important. When a person has a deep moral or ethical conviction about something, and then they are told to do the thing anyway, something specific happens in the brain. There is a disconnect between what they believe and what they are being asked to do. And that disconnect activates the same stress response as a physical threat. Researchers call this moral injury. It was first documented in military and medical context, but Jonathan Shay and later researchers like Wendy Dean and Simon Talbot expanded the framework to include anyone who is repeatedly asked to violate their own values in a high-stakes environment. What happens when moral injury goes unaddressed is predictable. People do not revolt. They withdraw. They comply on the surface and disappear underneath it. The energy that used to go into their work quietly redirects into managing the dissonance of doing something they do not believe in. And eventually, the people you least want to lose start looking for an environment where they are not asked to make that trade. This is not just happening with people who have religious objections. That accommodation case is the visible tip of something much larger. There are people on your teams right now who have ethical questions about AI that they have not raised because they do not believe the environment is safe enough to raise them. Maybe they have concerns about bias in the tools they are being asked to use. Maybe they are uncomfortable with how customer data is being handled. Maybe they believe the speed of implementation is outrunning the organization's ability to think carefully about consequences. Maybe they are simply exhausted by the cognitive load of constant adaptation, and nobody has acknowledged that exhaustion as legitimate. Maybe it's about data centers. Pope Leo XIV named something in his recent encyclical that resonated beyond the walls of the church. He said that technology risks eroding human dignity when it is designed and deployed by and for the powerful few, without adequate attention to what it does to everyone else. That is a theological statement, but it is also an organizational reality, and the fact that it generated an immediate wave of HR filings tells you that it gave language to something people were already feeling but could not yet say. Leaders who are paying attention right now are asking a different set of questions than leaders who are still focused purely on implementation timelines. They are asking what their people actually believe about what they are being asked to do. They are creating space for those beliefs to be voiced before they become HR filings. And they are understanding that in a moment this complex, the ability to lead people through genuine ethical uncertainty is not a soft skill. It is the skill. That is what heart-centered leadership actually means in practice. It does not mean slowing down every initiative because someone might have a question. It means building the kind of environment where people do not have to escalate a concern to an HR department because they don't know their leader is someone who will actually hear it. Your micro practice for this week is simple, and it will feel uncomfortable if you do it honestly. Before your next one-on-one with each team member of your team, write down one ethical or moral question that person might have about something your organization is currently doing with AI. Not a logistical question, an ethical one. Then, in the conversation, create enough space for them to raise it if they need to. You do not have to have the answer. You just have to be the kind of leader whose door is open before the conversation becomes a complaint. The leaders who come out of this moment with strong cultures are the ones who figured out that ethical leadership is not what you do after a crisis. It's what you do so that the crisis does not become the story. Your powerful thought for the day is this: the moment someone takes a moral objection to HR is the moment you find out whether your culture was ever really built for hard conversations. Build it before that moment arrives. And here's your powerful question. What are the people on your team carrying about AI right now that they do not yet believe you are safe enough to hear? I'm L. Michelle Smith, and this is her next power move. If this one hit close to home, pass it to a leader who needs it. Then be sure to sign up for Flight Path at soaracademy.nsccoaching.co. You'll get a free leadership toolkit to go with it. And if you're ready to do this work in real community with other leaders who are asking these same questions, the circle is open. The link is in the show notes. See you next time. Want me to speak, sign books, or host a workshop at your organization? Submit a request at lmichellesmith.com/speaking. Have you signed up for my Flight Path newsletter? It's weekly and it shows up in your inbox each Monday. It's your clear, guided journey to success. To subscribe, go to soaracademy.nsccoaching.co/subscribe. But the conversation doesn't end here. Let's chat about it. Join the chat at Her Next Power Move or add your comments below. Remember, paid subscribers get to hear it first, and you have access to me immediately. That means if you haven't subscribed, it's time for you to go to lmichellesmith.substack.com. You can follow and connect with me on LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, or Facebook. I'll see you online.